When your own sister tries to burn your world down in public, you either collapse or strike a match of your own. I chose the second. Graduation day was supposed to be the first time in 4 years I finally felt like my life belonged to me. My parents were in the front row, my boyfriend was filming, and I was moments away from receiving the award for Outstanding Graduate Achievement. Everything felt surreal, like I was finally stepping out of the shadow I'd lived in since childhood, and then Ava, my older sister, stood up, her voice thundered across the auditorium. She cheated her way through college. Gasps rippled. Heads turned. The cameras meant to record the ceremony were now pointed at me. My mother covered her mouth. My father's face turned stone hard. And Ava? She looked satisfied, like she'd just delivered a fatal blow. Everyone knew Ava had always been the golden one, straight A student, debate captain, the daughter my parents bragged about. Me? I was the kid with anxiety, student loans, and a resume built on pure effort. But Ava could never handle that. For once, I might shine brighter than her. The dean cleared his throat. Miss Carter, please step forward. I walked to the podium, heels clicking like a countdown to my execution. My face burned, but I kept my chin high. When he handed me my diploma, the auditorium was dead silent. Then I leaned in and whispered something to the dean, something only he and I knew about, and he smiled, not politely, not sympathetically, but knowingly. Before nodding, a murmur swept across the room. Ava's confident smirk flickered, because the truth was simple, I hadn't cheated. But someone else had, and the dean already knew who. Ava thought she was destroying me. She didn't know she had just detonated her own bomb, stepped back from the microphone, finally ready to speak, not as the scared little sister she thought I still was, but as the one holding every card she didn't know existed, and that was the moment the real story, the real revenge, began. When Ava publicly accused me, it wasn't a sudden emotional outburst. It was a strategy, a desperate one. Because what she didn't know was this: 2 weeks before graduation, the dean had called me into his office, not to question me, but to thank me. Had spent 2 years working as a research assistant for Professor Holloway, whose neuroscience grant was one of the biggest in the college. A month earlier, we discovered something disturbing. Several exam answers had been accessed from the digital grading system under Ava Carter's login credentials. My sister, the supposedly flawless genius, had been cheating for 2 semesters. When IT traced the logins, Professor Holloway brought it straight to the dean. And because Ava was no ordinary student, she was a high-profile scholar the school loved to advertise. They needed to handle the matter quietly. The dean asked me one thing: do you want to file a formal complaint? It could cost your sister her degree. I told him I needed time to think, but then Ava marched into my apartment the next day, accusing me, her own sister, of trying to outperform her. She mocked my grades, compared our lives, said I was embarrassing the family by even competing. That night, I made my decision: not revenge, accountability. I emailed the dean, proceed. So when I whispered to him at the podium, all I said was, you can make it public now. His smile, that was confirmation. Back in the auditorium, Ava's panic was visible. Her chest heaved. She stormed toward the stage, yelling, "You're lying. She hacked my account." But the dean calmly stepped up to the microphone. "Miss Carter," he said, "please remain seated. We have documentation." My parents stared at her, horrified. For the first time in my life, Ava looked small. Not because she'd been caught, but because she realized I was no longer the sister she could bully into silence. She left the auditorium before the ceremony even ended, and when she did, her perfect world began to crack. But she still hadn't learned her lesson, not yet, because Ava wasn't done fighting, and neither was I. 2 days after graduation, Ava barged into my apartment. Her hair was a mess, her eyes swollen. "You ruined my life," she spat. "Do you know what happens when a school rescinds a degree? I'll never get into grad school. I'll never get hired. I'll never." I cut her off. "Ava, you did this." She slammed her hands onto the table. "You think you're better than me now? Because you worked hard? Because the dean likes you? Because you're some kind of hero?" I stared at her for a long moment. "I don't want to be better than you," I said calmly. I want you to stop treating me like I'm beneath you. But Ava wasn't listening. She was spiraling. You think they won't find out about your little secret, she hissed. My stomach tightened. What secret? Oh please, she scoffed. You think I didn't know about your research project? The one you submitted for the National Fellowship? You used my old work. I'm going to expose you. For a moment, fear punched me in the chest, but then I laughed. A real, incredulous laugh, because Ava didn't know the biggest twist of all. Ava, I said softly, that research you're talking about? The one you did 2 years ago? You didn't write it. Her face froze. You copied it, I continued. From a university in Oregon. I found the original paper. Same graphs, same structure, same errors. She staggered back as if I'd hit her, and guess what? I said. I reported that too. The National Academic Misconduct Board opened an investigation this morning. Ava's knees buckled. She sank into the chair, shaking. You're lying, she whispered, but she knew I wasn't. For the first time in her life, she realized she couldn't outrun consequences, not for what she did to me, not for what she did to herself. She looked up at me with watery eyes. What do you want from me? She whispered. An apology? I shook my head. No. I just want peace. She swallowed hard. And what happens now? That, I said, is up to you. Own your mistakes. Get help. Start over. Or keep digging. For once, Ava didn't argue. She nodded, small, broken, sincere, and as she left my apartment, the strangest thing happened. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free, because revenge isn't always about destroying someone. Sometimes, revenge is simply letting the truth stand on its own, and watching the person who lied finally face it.